Hey everyone, it's Victoria Kennedy, medium clairvoyant from Los Angeles, California. And on tonight's episode of VK's Rant and Rave, we're going to get into the topic of chemtrails. What are they? Do you even know what chemtrails are? Do you even know what you're looking at in the sky? You know, I remember growing up, I was actually thinking about this, I want to say last year. When I was growing up, I remember the sky being so blue. And as I've gotten older, I just see that the sky, I mean, obviously it's still blue, but it's not as blue as it was. And, you know, you kind of look up in the sky and you see all these little so-called clouds, but they're not really clouds. You can tell the real clouds versus the fake clouds versus the chemtrail clouds. You know, sometimes we wake up and we see one line in the sky. 5 minutes later, there's multiple lines. And within 10 minutes, the entire sky is filled with all these lines. And those lines are what we call chemtrails. Now, in chemtrails, there is absolutely no good that comes from chemtrails. These are all harmful, cancer-killing chemicals that are literally put into our skies every day. And I truly believe these people who go and they fly these chemtrail planes, and you can see this on YouTube as well. Now they're huge planes, and in those planes they're just filled with gallons of toxic chemicals is what they're filled with. And they fly over and they spray these chemicals. Now, the main reason, and this is my own personal belief in regards to the chemtrails is that when they're sprayed, that just feeds pharma. Because if a person is not sick, then pharma is not going to be paid. If a person is healthy, pharma does not like that because they're not getting money. The way pharma is able to exist is off of sick people. My son has severe asthma, and I do take him to the doctors for that because he does have his inhaler. He's extremely active, but his stomach is also very sensitive, and it has been ever since he was a little baby. And I want to say he was about 8-9 years old, and his stomach just kind of got worse. We'd take him to the doctors. We would give him, Pepto-Bismol, and the doctors say, oh, well, we want to go ahead and put him on whatever medication. And, you know, he's so young. He's so little. And I remember asking the doctor, what are the harmful effects? What are the side effects to this medication that you want me to give to my son? And the sad thing is that she was not able to answer. She wasn't able to answer that question. So I said, thank you. Absolutely not. I'm not going to put him on that. And I remember she tried to give me a lecture on the importance of being a good mom, which pretty much just pissed me off, okay? And I just pretty much just walked out. I had to walk out because I did not want to say anything that was going to be rude or disrespectful. Not that I really would have cared, but I had my son. And I don't want my son growing up and being one of those asshole people, I guess we can call them. So we got home, and my wife asked what happened, so I explained to her, and I told her how irritated and how bothered I was. She couldn't even explain what the side effects were on this medication, so I chose to opt out. So my wife's like, okay, what are we going to do? And I said, okay, we're going to give him slippery elm. He's going to take 30 drops of slippery elm 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and at night. And that should help his stomach. And that's exactly what we did. 30 drops in the morning, 30 drops in the afternoon, 30 drops in the evening of slippery elm. Cured. Now, the only time, and my son's 15 now, he's going to be 16 soon. The only time his stomach acts up is if he eats something spicy. Like if he, wants Takis or something. But he knows that that's going to cause his stomach to act up. But he's still 15. He's still a kid. So I feel bad if I'm like, no, you can't have this, you can't have that. So we've kind of learned how to manage his diet, which he's done tremendously well. But every now and then he wants something spicy. He wants some Takis. So again, Takis are not healthy, but we do have an alternative. Sprouts is my favorite go-to place, and they have what we call Sprouts version Takis, right? And they taste just like Takis, it's just that it has less saturated fat. It has less calories. It has less cholesterol, like everything in them. So we were able to substitute something a little bit more healthier compared to something that's extremely not healthy for you. That's extremely bad for you. So we kind of have to negotiate. But even every now and then he's like, okay, can I just get a regular bag of Takis? Okay, not a problem. So you kind of have to take a look at things, right? Because like, as I mentioned, when it comes to chemtrails, I can see the sky from my front door right now, and it looks so pretty because the sun is starting to set, but you also can see the real clouds versus the chemtrails. The chemtrails, after a while, they just become, I guess we can say, diluted, but that still stays within the environment. One day it was so strong, and I was taking my son to school. He was in elementary school. We walked out, and even my son made comment, and he said, "Mom, do you smell that?" He's like, "I don't know what it is," but he goes, "But it just smells like chemicals." And when I looked up, sure enough, they were doing chemtrails pretty much above us, but we know it's not really above us. So it just kind of goes to show, what's that saying? What goes up must come down. The same thing with the chemtrails. And these chemicals, not only do they get on our lawn, on our plants, on our even on our physical body, gets on our cars, but we also breathe that in. So when it comes to chemtrails and trying to eat organically, it's extremely difficult to do. You can have organic soil, which is soil that has absolutely no chemicals in, but yet we have the chemtrails up in the sky. So how are we going to be able to combat, the chemtrails to not taking over our organic food? Because again, the only way the big pharma makes money is off sick people. My mom is in that generation of what the doctor says goes. The doctor says you need medication for high blood pressure, you take medication for high blood pressure. Your doctor says you need medication for weight gain, then you take that. Okay. My mom has been on medication as long as I can remember. And it has gotten so out of control to the point where my mom takes one pill for something, and then she has to take another pill to offset those side effects. And then that second pill she's taking to offset those side effects also have their side effects. So she has to take another pill and another and another and another. And there's days where she tells me, I just don't feel good. Well, hello. Have you taken a look at all the medication that you are taking? The more medication that you feed your body. Now, I'm not saying not to take medication, but what I am saying is that there are alternatives of taking medication, which is, all natural herbs. I mean, what happened at the very beginning? If we go back into time when Adam and Eve were here, if they ended up getting a cold, did they run out and get a flu shot? No. Why? Because there was no flu shot. I'm pretty sure that Adam and Eve pretty much got whatever they needed for any type of illness or sickness from Mother Earth. Our ancestors, they lived a completely healthy life. And we have to ask ourselves, well, How come my ancestors didn't have whatever diseases that we are now seeing? Well, that's because they didn't have chemtrails. They didn't have all this other junk that's out there that is fed from the chemtrails. Because again, you can buy organic or non-organic, but it really doesn't matter if it's organic or not because of the chemtrails. The chemtrails, you cannot keep that out of the soil. Pesticides are constantly being sprayed. And it travels. It travels within the environment. So how can we truly and honestly say that something is organic when, again, we have these wonderful chemtrails? Now, you definitely can do your own research. But chemtrails are nothing but harsh and harmful chemicals. And those harsh and harmful chemicals are designed to make us sick. So that way, we can go to the doctors, we can get that shot that we don't need, so we can get that pill that we don't need. Oh, but wait, that pill that you don't need that you're now taking, you have to take another pill because you're feeling nauseated. Oh, but because you're feeling nauseated, you also have to take another pill because it's going to have adverse reactions to your liver. It's a never-ending cycle when it comes to the big pharma. So if you really look at it, chemtrails and big pharma, it's like brother and sister, lending a hand, helping one another. What about these people who actually fly these planes? I would not be able to fly one of those planes. Well, first of all, I'm not a pilot. But second of all, I would not be able to do that because I know what's in those chemtrails. These people who fly these planes that are filled with all these toxic chemicals, they have protective gear on. They have respirators. They're covered from head to toe. They're wearing every possible protective gear that they need to. So if they were not doing anything bad, then why do they have to do that? Pretty good question, right? So, we can talk about chemtrails all day long. And the reason I wanted to talk about chemtrails is that I really want you to do your own research. A lot of people don't understand when it comes to chemtrails. People sometimes know, but they kind of turn an eye. They don't want to know. They know it exists, but they don't want to know. And then you have the other people who are totally awake and say, yeah, I know about these chemtrails. I know what's in them, and I know they're extremely dangerous. I'm not here to try to change your perspective on chemtrails, on medication, on organic versus non-organic, or the big pharma, right? The bottom line is that it's so important that we all do our own research constantly. It's so important to do that. Because if you don't know, if you're not aware, if you're not able to educate yourself, trust me, your doctor is not going to do that for you. And why? Because the more money that the doctors give big pharma, you don't think they don't get a kickback? I can guarantee you they do. They do. Nothing is ever going to be for free. Nobody's going to do anything just out of the kindness of their heart when it comes to this. It's a huge political game. The biggest money maker around. The longer that these chemtrails go on, the sicker we're going to be. The more children we're going to see being born with cancer. The more cancers that are going to come about. Extremely rare form of cancers. Look at ADHD. It's on the rise. So just think about that. Think about that next time you take yourself, your kid, or a family member to the doctors. Ask questions. A lot of people are afraid to ask questions. I never understood that. It's your right to know. You have every right to ask questions. And if your doctor gets upset or mad at you, well, maybe that's not the right doctor for you. There are other doctors, aside from your conventional doctors, which are holistic doctors. They're just as great, but they're not going to stick you with one thing after another. Okay, so again, do your research, look up chemtrails. There's many videos on YouTube. See what they're about. Ask questions in regards to your medication. Learn how to clean your veggies. Learn how to keep yourself safe on every aspect of your being. Mental, physical, emotionally, spiritually, and even energetically. Because they all are coming in hand. So if you're not well mentally, you're not going to be well emotionally. If you're not well emotionally, you're not going to be well physically, and so forth. So really do your research. Pay attention to the fruits that you're buying. Pay attention to the meats that you're buying. Again, just please do your research. I want everybody to stay healthy. Use Google. Google should be your best friend. If you ever have any questions, you're definitely available. I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. You can reach out to me at any time. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I don't do X. I got rid of X. I'm on Clap, or Clapper, I guess we can call it, on Blue Sky. Or you can just reach out to me at info@vkennedy.com. Until next week, stay well, do your research, and God bless you all.